If you want to make change in Africa, you have to have a view on long term, because the change take time, but they will go fast too, because the technology in Africa go fast.
We have two different perspectives here today. Yeah, and from my understanding right now, you're focused heavily on Canada, maybe a little bit of North America.
Yep.
But Tony, you're bringing that international perspective. So it's a great conversation we can have around some of the limitations and challenges about implementing EdTech into educational systems. I know, especially Canadian educational system, pretty slow moving. So to get everyone on board and using the technology, especially as you mentioned, using it properly, staying dedicated with it, that's a challenge. And I think that can lead to the death of many EdTech solutions prematurely, even though the solution itself might be great. But you have to cut through a lot of red tape. You have to get the right supporters on board, making sure you're following all the rules. I was involved with an EdTech company a while ago that was focused around career development and career education for kids. But the way they did it had a mild piece of almost marketing to it, because it was related to students researching other companies and their career paths and all these types of things. And there was a concern that, hey, by having the company pay to be on the platform, it's almost like marketing to kids. And so this raised a ton of red flags and created a lot of challenges, even though the core concept was a great idea. The execution was great. The intention was fantastic to create exposure for students and to develop their career paths. But to get all the players on board made it a real challenge. So I'm really curious to hear from both of you. Jan, what's your experience like being in Canada? And Tony, for you, what is your experience being internationally? What's the best way you've discovered to make action happen for you to continue growing and developing your EdTechs?
I like that question because it's a complex question, but there's a main component I'd like to outline. It's funny, I had this conversation with one of our advisory board leader, which is a thought leader around Canada, recognized in Canada. He was telling me that, this innovation, especially in social areas where a society like Quebec or the US or states make their own choice, you need to have a lot of people on board to bring those changes. And not by the early adopters. Of course, you need those, but you will make real impact when you will change those mid-adapters mentality about using and going forward and seeing the value into your product. And I think, Tony, you will have a lot to say about that, given the context in Africa. With that said, I think that getting in the system is not easy, and you need to have the voice of every stakeholder. So I was a student and developed the EdTech thinking as a student without knowing how it impacted district administrators or teachers or coaches. I needed to have more insight from these people, and now we have some on board our team for perspective. And with that, we could all mix those perspectives and bring a solution and a speech that would fit to everyone's concerns. And with that global approach, that's where we have success reaching out to people, onboarding people. And when you onboard those people, and I was talking about this earlier, well, to create engagement, what I think is cool about education is that everybody, even if it's not perfect, is used to already work in somehow collaborative and with the same stack of tools, let's say. Or we have the same state curriculum, for example, and so on. So with that said, you will find in a region maybe similar actors or stakeholders external to you, like content providers or other, that will be the same from one place to another. And this is something that other company can rely on.
If you want to make change in Africa, you have to have a view on long term, because the change take time, but they will go fast too, because the technology in Africa go fast. But it's very important to do that in the African language, because they need to understand before in our own language. Then after that, they could make a change for the best, for the all people, not just the elite, the small elite. It's very for the all people. For do the technology, it's a right. For education, it's a right. The internet, it's a right. They want it. They want to do have that now. They want now to access at the technology, to access at the education. And then what we do with the Boîte Innovation, we do that to give now the education they need.
Yeah, that sense of urgency is something I felt when I was working in the field as well, where in some cases there's a lot of educational tools. So sometimes teachers will get overloaded by so many propositions of so many different ways to fix some part of the problems that they experience in the day-to-day in their classroom. And as you said, yeah, they don't have that much time to process it. So you really have to cut through the noise there and keep them engaged so they can keep their student engaged. There's kind of an interesting two-step process. And the level of eagerness to jump on those tools and the present need deeply varies from region to region. Sometimes it's a problem, it's an urgency, they want to find solution, or sometimes it becomes a nice to have and have all those other problems to deal with.